Hey there, internet sleuths and true crime fanatics. Welcome back to the All Useless Facts channel, where we dive into the questions you're definitely curious about, but probably shouldn't be asking your grandma. Today, we're going beyond the basics and getting into the nitty-gritty of body disposal. That's right, how to dispose of a human body you just so happen to have lying around the house that you just don't need anymore, and no, it won't sell at your next garage sale. And before anyone calls the authorities, this video is for purely educational and entertainment purposes. We are not giving step-by-step instructions on how to hide bodies. We are, however, going to see how some people try. We're taking a forensic deep dive into the methods used by the world's most formidable problem solvers, the FBI, the American Mafia, and our favorite purveyors of fantasy, Hollywood movies. We'll expose their top methods, reveal the hilarious failures, and by the end, we'll crown the most feasible, and by feasible, I mean least likely to get you caught, method. Stick around, because this is going to be a wild ride. Let's kick things off with the ultimate truth seekers, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The FBI isn't in the business of teaching you how to hide things. They're in the business of finding them. And trust me, they are really good at it. When a body disappears, the FBI brings out the big guns, not just a shovel, but an entire arsenal of science, psychology, and technology. They start with the basics. K9 units. Cadaver dogs are incredibly effective, trained to detect the unique scent of human decomposition, even after years of disappearing. Then there's ground-penetrating radar, GPR, which sends electromagnetic waves into the ground to detect anomalies that suggest a grave or an odd cavity under the ground. They analyze soil disturbance, looking for subtle changes in earth composition or vegetation. Forensic entomology examines insect activity on remains, providing crucial time-of-death estimates. Forensic botany analyzes plant growth and pollen to determine if a body was moved or how long it's been in a location. And of course, DNA analysis. This nabs most would-be Dexter's Morgans. Then there's dental records and skeletal analysis, which can identify remains even from tiny fragments. And least we forget these guys. The BU, or Behavioral Analysis Unit, is important in putting together a profile on the unsub or unknown subject, so after the crime has been committed, they have an idea who to look for. It's not an exact science, as TV would have you believe, but rather a bunch of smart people that can put together a 5,000-piece puzzle in 12 minutes. So, with all that going for them, what are the top 5 failed body disposal methods the FBI most commonly encounters prepare to face bomb? Number 5. Amateur concrete encasement. Thinking concrete will seal your secret forever, not so fast. Unless you're a professional concrete worker, your block will likely crack, especially with internal gases building up. Plus, GPR and K9 units can still detect bodies encased in concrete. It just makes the recovery process a bit messier for the FBI. Number 4. Ineffective burning. Attempting to incinerate a body with gasoline and a few logs. Newsflash, you'll end up with a charred, messy problem, not neatly disposed ash. You'll leave behind bone fragments, teeth, which are incredibly tough, and a strong, lingering odor that screams bad idea. It's incredibly difficult to completely cremate a body without an actual crematory. Number 3. Surface dumping in abandoned structures or wilderness. I'll just leave it here. Nobody comes here. Famous last words. Urban explorers, squatters, homeless individuals, or just anyone who happens to wander by will find it. Plus, the smell, scavengers, and natural elements guarantee discovery. Number 2. Dumping in water without proper weighting. You've seen it in every crime drama. Sink M in the lake. But bodies float as decomposition gases build up. Rivers, lakes, and even coastal waters have currents that inevitably bring things ashore. You're basically just giving it a scenic tour before it washes up at the local beach party. Number 1. Shallow graves in remote areas. Host makes a duh face. This is the absolute classic amateur move. People think middle of nowhere, nobody will find it. But decomposition, animals, weather erosion, and eventually hikers or land developers. It's just a matter of time. Plus, if you leave a shovel or a single footprint, you're toast. Alright, now let's talk about the OG problem solvers. The American Mafia. These guys have a long history of making people, well, disappear, and their methods often relied on secrecy, intimidation, and a more hands-on approach. Their goal wasn't just disposal, but often sending a message. The Mafia's tactics were born from a time when forensic science was in its infancy, and their influence could often silence witnesses. But even they weren't foolproof. Here are some of their infamous, and sometimes flawed, disposal methods. Number 5. Feeding to the pigs. While perhaps more associated with rural crime, this brutal method has been rumored to be used by various organized crime groups. Pigs are omnivores and incredibly efficient scavengers. The idea is that they would consume a body, leaving little to no trace. It's incredibly messy, gruesome, but still leaves some bone fragments. But for pure destruction, it's potent. Number 4. Barrel encasement and sometimes chemicals. While not as common as concrete, some accounts suggest bodies were put into industrial barrels, sometimes filled with lye or other corrosive chemicals, though rarely effective enough for full dissolution, then sealed and dumped. The barrel added an extra layer of concealment. Number 3. Disassembly and dispersal, more gruesome, but effective for hindering identification. The body would be dismembered and pieces scattered in different locations, different bodies of water, different remote areas. Kinda like Scarface. The thought being that even if parts were found, linking them back to a single individual would be incredibly difficult. Number 2. Burial on construction sites or friendly land. The Mafia often had ties to construction companies or owned vast tracts of undeveloped land. Burying a body on a future construction site, under a new building foundation, or beneath a road was a way to make it disappear, hoping it would never be disturbed. Nay, think Jimmy Hoffa met his demise this way. Number 1. Concrete shoes, deep ocean drop. This is the quintessential mob method. The idea is to weigh the body down with concrete and dump it in the deepest part of the ocean, far from shore. If you've ever watched Dexter, this is his choice of body disposal. But is it truly effective? The vastness of the sea, strong currents, and marine life were supposed to make it vanish. It sometimes worked, but currents can surprise you, and even the deep ocean isn't perfectly static. Body parts break free and float. When the body starts to decompose, it builds internal gases. Sometimes these gases offset the weight of the concrete, and what would be a romantic walk on the beach ends up as a gruesome statement to local police. And now, for the main event. The most visually spectacular, utterly ridiculous, and scientifically nonsensical methods of body disposal. Hollywood. The movies, where problems conveniently disappear with a dramatic flourish and absolutely no regard for thermodynamics, biology, or the laws of common sense. Hollywood's methods are all about the wow factor, the quick fix, and the sheer audacity of making a body vanish in seconds. Hollywood uses the audience is too dumb to see if this really works approach. Let's count down the top 5 movie magic removals. Number 5. The sci-fi fantasy portal black hole volcano drop. According to my research, this is actually the 5th most common way Hollywood disposes of bodies. When Hollywood truly gives up on reality, they just introduce a convenient plot device. Space, a volcano, a black hole, or a magical portal to another dimension. Poof. Problem solved. Reality check unless you happen to have a working portal, a spare Millennium Falcon, or access to an active volcano that accepts cash payments. This method is unavailable to the general public. Number 4. Instantaneous incineration. The movie bad guy sets a body on fire and moments later, it's nothing but a puff of smoke. Reality check complete cremation takes hours in a specialized crematory at extremely high temperatures. A regular fire, even with accelerants, will leave significant remains, including bone fragments, teeth, and a telltale odor. It's never a clean, instant vanishing act. Number 3. Deep freeze and shatter scene in various spy thrillers and mob movies. The villain freezes a body solid, then shatters it into tiny, unidentifiable pieces. Reality check freezing a human body solid enough to shatter would take an immense amount of time and sub-zero temperatures you don't find in your average freezer. and then shattering it. That's a physically demanding, incredibly messy, and remarkably loud endeavor. You'd still have thousands of tiny pieces to dispose of. Think of the sweeping. Number 2. The industrial shredder wood chipper, Fargo. Burn after reading. Seeing a body go through a wood chipper is undeniably shocking cinema. The idea of an industrial shredder making a problem disappear quickly is compelling. Reality check the noise, the mess, the logistical nightmare of getting a body into one of these things without being seen, or leaving a literal trail of evidence. Plus, you're left with, well, a very distinctive pulp to clean up. Not discreet. And number 1. The hydrofluoric acid bath, Breaking Bad. This is the current reigning champion of movie magic disposal. Jesse Pinkman and Walter White taught us that hydrofluoric acid could dissolve a body in a bathtub. Reality check: hydrofluoric acid is terrifyingly corrosive, but it doesn't vaporize a body into thin air. It would create a truly horrendous, sludge-like mess, leave behind bones, and probably dissolve your house and you in the process. Plus, the fumes are lethal. You'll be lucky to walk away with only scarred lungs. Don't try this at home, or ever. So, we've explored the cold, hard science of the FBI, the street-smart, but often outdated, tactics of the Mafia, and the wildly imaginative and incredibly impractical methods of Hollywood. The burning question remains, which method is the most feasible, and the winner is, drumroll please, none of them. Seriously. The truth is, in the vast majority of cases, bodies are found. Forensic science has become incredibly advanced. DNA, fingerprints, dental records, soil analysis, insect activity, even pollen. All of these can lead investigators to discover what happened and who did it. The idea of a perfect, untraceable disappearance is largely a myth, perpetuated by fiction and the wishful thinking of those who make very, very poor life choices. The FBI's perspective is the most realistic. You won't get away with it. The Mafia's methods, while more practical than Hollywood's for their time, are still vulnerable to modern forensics and the relentless pursuit of justice. And Hollywood, well, bless their hearts, but their solutions are mostly just fun to watch, not practical advice at all. The most feasible method for body disposal, if we're talking about truly making someone vanish without a trace, is actually not having a body to dispose of in the first place. That's the only truly foolproof method. So, there you have it. The fascinating, if slightly morbid, truth about how to hide a body. Remember, this was all for educational and entertainment purposes. If you've got a problem, call a professional like a therapist, a lawyer, or maybe even just a really good friend. Definitely not a hitman. And certainly don't try any of this at home. Chances are, if you do, you'll be the body that needs to disappear. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the dark side of human behavior, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more bizarre explorations, and let me know in the comments if you think you're smarter than the FBI. Thanks for watching All Useless Facts. Bye for now.